now tuned in to Dominant Roller TV. Keep it locked with your girl, Danielle Laroach.
No matter what it is, I'm gonna always keep it true. Thought it was over. I'ma show you, I'm a dominant ruler.
Alright, this is Dominant Roller TV. We have Danielle Laroach in the building. How are you?
What's up? I'm good. I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've been seeing a lot of big things coming from you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been working hard. Definitely working hard.
So look, man, I want to get right into it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so how was it like coming up as Danielle Laroach, little girl Danielle coming up? Like, how was that?
Oh my God. Being the way that I am now, very professional, and people pretty, like princess, like you're very pretty and prissy, but
Okay.
I actually grew up very, very humble beginnings. My parents came from a lifestyle they created for themselves, but it was like when I came to the picture in '92, it was a big financial dive. So I didn't grow up with like a lot of normal things that people probably grew up with. Like, I was a spoiled child, but I was more so like spoiled with love. I'm an only child.
Okay.
So I grew up with a lot of love, and I grew up when my parents were going through a bit of a struggle. They're very good, financially stable now, able to support me and help me in a lot of ways. I'm grateful, but I did come up, it was rough, young Danielle Laroach, but I will say my upbringing pretty much led me to how I'd have to be in life, which is like always pushing through no matter what. So yeah, I always went to school every day. I was happy. People thought that I was just a rich kid, like had so much, but it was because I always had so much joy and so much love. So yeah, growing up for me was crazy. I moved around a lot. So I spent my school years in Baton Rouge, and because of like I think the financial dives my family was going through, my grandmother would come get me and my two cousins and take us to Detroit for the whole summer. And
Okay. So you born here, or are you from Baton Rouge?
yes, I was. Well, my parents lived in Baton Rouge, but both worked in New Orleans when I was born. So they're like, you know, worked there, lived here. I was actually born in Metairie, and my parents spent a lot of time both in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and they ended up settling in Baton Rouge, and went to school all the way up. I graduated from Baton Rouge High.
Okay.
Went to Southern University.
Okay.
Yeah, so go Jazz.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I spent, my childhood was crazy, and just spent like half of it in Baton Rouge and then a nice chunk of it in Detroit. So
Okay. So like, I know Baton Rouge is it's pretty well.
so say, what word are you about to pull out here?
You know, well, no, I really just want to know, like, what made you get into acting? Because I know a lot of people from Baton Rouge, and I interview a lot of people. A lot of them do just music. But you, on the other hand, you do music, you act, you're philanthropist.
Thank you.
You model. And you don't just do them, but you do them greatly.
Thank
you do them well.
Thank you.
So, like, what made you, like, pick up acting?
For me, acting was just always my first love, my natural ability. Like, I've always just been like, became characters, would study characters on television, and as soon as I could get into any type of drama, acting classes as a child, I did. But my mother, I have it honest, like my mother was a extras casting director, payroll accountant on huge films. She did 13 films in the 90s when I was born, like Blaze, Dead Man Walking, Everybody's All American. So Dead Man Walking, I was baby in the stroller, and Denzel Washington's the big scene where he's in New Orleans, and so I had my first acting check.
Wow.
I believe it was for $600, and I was 6 months old.
It's not bad for 6 months.
Right, and yeah, so ever since then, I think my parents, my mother did that thing with me when I was a child. Like, I was that active, like, oh, she's a life of the party, you must put her in films, you're in films.
Yeah, okay.
She took me there to like probably the grand old opry of like casting agents you could take your child to, and she said I was just like and she was like, if y'all don't get up there and do what you was doing in the house and you do all the time. So when I was 17 years old, I went to Baton Rouge High. I did like drama was my major there. I did music and things like that, acting. So eventually you had to pick like what your major was going to be. So I dedicated like 35% of my high school career to just performing arts, drama, stage theater. That when I was a senior in high school, I was checking out of school to go be in movies.
Okay.
Like, I had starred in my first film well, its first supporting role that was like pitched to someone large like Disney, like when I was 18.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I have been working seriously as an actress since I was 17 on my own without, my parents trying to put me in things or do things.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I've done a ton of play. I've had a lot of training in the meantime, in between time. So I've been a part of the Baton Rouge Little Theater, theater company, things like that. I've always been perfecting and working towards it. And I've been doing feature films for myself, of course, when I was 6 months, but professionally on my own since I was 17. So.
Okay, so when you say on your own, like your mom wasn't your momager anymore?
Well, she's still my momager. She's awesome. She's my producer. She's amazing. She actually produced the first large sitcom that I was a part of with Robin Gibbons. My mom's executive producer on the project.
Okay.
So I've always had her to also be on that business side of it. But when I was 17, it was more so like, I remember that year I got my license. And then I got like a role in a film, and it was like, I'm driving myself to my movie. Like, I'm pulling up. I'm like, the other actors are in their 30s, and it was Kiss the Bride, Reagan Gomez. Actually, Dan Garcia, Cain and Abel, the former musicians. They produced a lot of films, and actually, Dan produced the film, and David was in the film as well. So that was fun. But when I say on my own, I guess I mean without anyone's, persuasion. Like I found it very different. Like people take this industry very seriously, and moms a lot of times push their kids to do things they don't want to do, and they're like, my mother, I feel like, gave me such a great foundation. She just let me go and, be proud of me, rather than, we don't have that unhealthy relationship to where she's like trying to push me to make. She pretty much she watches my career choices and respects them and gives me a lot of guidance, but she's not that. When you say momager, I just have to make sure to differentiate, because she's not that, like if you watch something like Dance Moms and you're like, gosh, it's good. No, she never has pushed me to do anything that I didn't like or made me like, well, I wouldn't say that. Because when I have to push a line there, because she forced me to, even though acting was always I always knew that was my top passion. She forced me to learn modeling and learn to walk on a runway and learn music, learn to read music, learn to, take vocal lessons. And these were things that was like, I'm so true to myself, like that's not my passion. But now, as an actress, I'm well-rounded.
So is it safe to say mom had a bigger picture? She's seen the bigger picture.
Yes, and now that I'm 25, and then my parents, I was born, my parents were over 40 years old, so they was already grown. I just came along, they were like, okay, I never really got baby. There's always been such a good, level relationship. And people will joke and be like, you and your parents are like siblings, but it's just because like when I came into the picture, that's just what where we were with it. But I definitely have those supportive parents that push me, and it's nice to have that support. I know that makes a big difference. A big difference.
Yeah. See, I know a lot of people probably didn't know all that about you, right?
No.
Because I seen you in a few music videos. I know you probably have artists come at you all the time trying to be in a video, right? Like, did you feel like you were limiting yourself when you were just doing music videos to the point where you had to branch out?
Well, I've never. It's been a while. I've never just been doing one thing at once. So even though it would be like, I've had different things in my life gain popularity, and it's like people don't notice the other things you were doing. So at the same time, when I was doing music videos, I was working with a company. I was producing my own short films. I was writing video treatments for probably any artist you could think of in Baton Rouge. I was producing content. I was casting models. I was doing a lot of things that people weren't seeing. So doing music videos was just like an extra dime for me.
Gotcha.
Because I was so engulfed in the industry. I was the one booking the models, casting the shoots, but so they're like, wait, damn, you want to be in the video? Sure, here's my. So now I'm getting 2 checks instead of 1,
Right.
But people weren't seeing the other side, which is why now, like when you said thank you for saying I do what I do and I do it well, that's what I feel like differentiates me. I don't BS bullshit in any area. So I'm gonna model, I'm gonna go hard over here in the modeling room and be good at it. I'm gonna do music videos, they're gonna be dope. I'm gonna be acting acting, that's why I had to venture off into other things like videos and models, because like I don't think people understand, like as an actress, unless you create your own avenue in the meantime, you will feel drained and you feel like you're not practicing your craft. Because I mean, that's why actors take so many classes and are part of so many actors groups and, you know, do so many like workshops, because we can't just cast ourselves in a movie every day, you know, whereas like I feel like musicians have, you know, every day you can get up and sing if you feel like it, you know what I mean? Or you can write a song if you feel like, you know, so as an actor you have to learn that, like right now I'm on this side of the camera, I've had to learn to be in your position, you know what I'm saying, to put food on my table and to constantly work, because it was a time where nobody's booking me for acting, but hey, they're booking me over here for these music videos, or hey, I'm getting this modeling work. So in the meantime of doing the modeling and the videos, I had to still be taking acting classes, still doing a lot of workshops, and keeping my craft, you know, sharp, because that will happen. You'll get, like you said, like I would just get focused on videos and then just get video fixing, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I love video models, I love videos, and I love that, you know, a lot of videos I'm accepting now, it's like, okay, if it doesn't have like a storyline to it, I'm not that interested, you know, I want to showcase my acting skills. But I've reached that level in my career, like you have to be careful with turning down work as well, you know. So I like that I have done no degrading music videos to myself, but that's just my moral standard. There's some people that look at the work that I've done and they're like, what do you mean this is degrading? So when you say degrading, you have to wonder whose morals are you going by.
Okay, like I seen a video, I think I seen a movie, it was a Cain and Abel film maybe, I think. You were like, I hate to say hood, but you were like really snappy, you know, like
that was my character.
That was your character, but like after that film, did a lot of people want you to just do that, just be that girl? Or did they see like you had more into you? After
I play a certain role or take on a certain part, I kind of go out of my way to do a little marketing and branding and push the other thing, which what they do for large actors all the time. It's just that I do it on my scale. Like, okay, so Wolf of Wall Street was the character that they came up with to make people fall in love with Leonardo DiCaprio again after he did that nasty, you know, slave master role in Django. So it's like watching things like that. I've always watched the industry closely for things like that, so I make sure I do that with myself as well. So anytime I do something that's super risque or whatever, ghetto or however you want to capitalize urban, I push something that's the opposite afterwards, or that gives you a nice, you know, I like smooth, you know, like seamless smooth. So I try to like bring people, because people, you get what you give, you know what I'm saying? And as an artist or actress or performer, you can control what a person's focus is on you, you know, like if you wanted to just, as women on Instagram, like if you just want them to focus on your body and sexual, be sexual all the time, you know what I'm saying? You want to be taken, you know, as intellectual, it's like, you know, you get what you give. So I try to give a balance of each, and, you know, watch and see what people like.
Speaking of risque, like what is the most risky film you ever did, or the most risky just whatever?
I have to say the photo shoot that I recently did, actually in Baton Rouge, Aaron Thibodeau, it's some pretty risky photos. And I did them in such a creative way, but also I like to push the envelope a lot when it comes to what God loves, who He loves, because I'm an example to a lot of young women, from strippers to scholars, you know, and that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but let's just be honest here, you know, we have different levels of life, so I don't have disrespect or ill feelings towards either spectacle, you know, either way. I think people do what they have to do to survive, to each his own. God bless you. But for me, if I want to dibble and dabble and be sexy, if I want to be risky, if I want to be smart, like I feel like I'm allowed to be all those things, you know? And as a woman, a lot of people just want to say like, oh no, you're only allowed to be smart, or you're only allowed to be like, I believe I can be smart, sexy, fun, you know, serious, and intriguing all within the same time. And a lot with my following, I give a lot of faith-based advice. So also, I'm very aware of when I do risky things, you know, and then again, it's just like, who is it risky to, you know? Like,
exactly.
You know, like, because I feel like those of us that are so wonderful and clean and holy and stable. You know how we don't need any help. So I'm trying to reach, the girl that's not too sure.
Yeah.
So I also know my audience.
What is your audience?
My audience is male and females. 45% female right now, 55% male. I have about an 18-year-old to 34-year-old range, with males being my larger audience, and from about a little bit younger with my female audience, and then spans out a little bit further than the 35. I have women from 15 to 65 and above. But it's just that I don't have that larger margin of that 30-year-old. So I pay attention to that. So it's like, okay, if I have a lot of attention from women 18 to 24, be mindful of that,
Yeah.
Or if I have a larger viewing from women that are 34, I'm realizing who I'm dealing with and when I'm dealing with what message, every message is not for every audience, So I've been paying attention to that a lot. I watch my statistics a lot, things like that.
Can you see yourself doing a love scene, in bed scene?
Yeah, I've done that. I've done.
Oh, you have done that
in a music video before. It was actually the things that come off on camera as like so sexy and sultry are usually the most not sexy, uncomfortable things to do. So it's so funny when people see things, because it's like different post production and people see things. It's like.
Right.
Yo, that wasn't like that. There were 50 people in the room. It was cold as hell. Like,
Well, they're not supposed to know that
you
anyway.
know what I'm saying? But it's just like when they see what this camera, like there's a video, Love Drug, Centravious J, that I did, and 2K Thomas shot it. And
great director.
Love him.
Great camera.
Wow, we go really far back. If you like if you light up a bed, just a bed, put two people in the bed and put a sheet over the people and have them lay with all white sheets and like have them lay on white sheets, and you just do this and you put the camera under the sheets, it looks like that Tyrese video where he's like it's like Capricorn Aquarius and he's like going through it. That's what you do to make it look like that. So I remember people thinking like, oh my gosh, it was so risky, that scene, you're in the bed. And I'm like, I was fully clothed. You couldn't tell because I had on a half bra, I had on pants, socks, shoes. But people, they don't, they just see the end result. So that's why I try not to focus too much on people's opinions. I give a lot more love than I do hate.
Well, that's good.
What hate?
What do you mean?
I give it no attention, so I'm like, I rarely ever speak on the hate because
you shouldn't though. I mean,
I just don't, I just don't gas it. Like I see people with so much, and they're always addressing the haters, and I'm like, clearly, you got more love than you got hate. Clearly. So why are you always addressing the haters? I don't understand.
All right, so I see you Miss Fashion Week Atlanta.
Yes.
How did that come about? Like.
Thank you. I won that title, Miss Fashion Week Atlanta. The reason I entered into the competition is because I am a petite model. People think that like from my photos that I'm like 6 foot, which thank God, but I'm not. I'm 5 foot tall. And
does it matter the criteria of a model now?
Well, models are typically 16 to 24 years old and above a certain height. So for me, I'm a beauty commercial and petite model, but that's why I've been going so hard recently with modeling as well, because petite women just don't get that. Like it's kind of like people are always like, oh, always a fuss about plus size, but just like they fuss like, oh, a plus size woman, I can't fit anything in the store. It's the same a lot of times for petite women. The clothes are too long for us, or they're too big, or they're not made for our body type, and like. Your waist is up here, mine is up here, like, so I feel like being petite is a challenge, and I do have a lot of women like reach out to me about like my wardrobe choices that I make, and like, wow, how are you able to still give off a sexiness? And you're like, sure, and I'm like, it's a science, so like I do share a lot of that, but there is a difference, but when it comes to like not runway, it's not a big difference. Like, I model in like photography with other models that are like super tall and we're all sitting down and look the same.
Yeah.
So it's only a problem when it's like a runway or something like that, which it's cool. I host fashion shows, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I seen you did the Elegant Events Biora fashion show.
Elegant Events, that was great. That was awesome. We brought something really nice to Baton Rouge, and that was probably one of the last things I did before I moved to Atlanta. And but it's alright. I won the Miss Fashion Week Atlanta. It's actually a modeling competition, so it included plus size, petite, and runway So it gave an opportunity to models like myself who are, oh gosh, I can't enter into this competition, I'm not tall enough, or oh, I can't enter this and this, you know. So I am a size 0, like they asked, but I'm
Yeah.
sure. So I went, I did well, and I won.
What all did you have to do? I mean,
it was a modeling competition, so I had to present my best like modeling photo.
Okay.
Like, that was a competition within its own. It was like different, you know. So I won that one, the photo competition. It was a runway competition within your categories, so I did have to do like runway and like present myself like any other beauty pageant. And then I had to do like question and answer.
Okay.
And it was cool, and it was a lot of fun. And I've been doing a lot of work in the community in Atlanta, and it's fun because it's like I'm already a community-driven, like natural philanthropist at heart, and the title pushes you to be even more, you know, involved within the community. So it was exciting, but it was a challenge for me this year because moving to Atlanta and because I still work locally in Baton Rouge or New Orleans as a place to live here. So it was hard because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be Miss Atlanta. Like, I'm Miss
Why
Atlanta.
did you move to Atlanta?
Because of the market. And I looked at the film commissioner's list, and LA's list was this long for films to be shot in 2017, and Atlanta was this long. And so I went with the best opportunity. But also, I got my first lead role in a film, and I pretty much was like, I need to make Atlanta my solid base because it was shot there, and when we finished it there, I stayed there.
You got into any reality shows or anything like that?
Well, I worked on Real Housewives of Atlanta this year as Kenya Moore's assistant. So her hair care, did a lot with her this year. I was on Growing Up Hip Hop.
That's a hot show now.
And, it comes on WeTV. Also, I was on an episode of Black Ink in Atlanta. So,
what did you do? Go get a tattoo?
No, I was just on there like as a party guest, like hanging out with Sky and Caesar and all the, you know, cast Persuasion, all the castmates and stuff like that. I got that job through a casting company that I was working with in Atlanta, and
How's Sky? That's like my favorite character on Black Ink.
She is one of the realest. Like, it was so funny what happened because we're in like this party scene, you know, and so it's working on these different reality shows and sets, and people, you don't know how people are on and off camera, and you just don't know the difference. And the real ones are just the same, you know. It's just they may get it popping when the camera's on, but you know they're pretty much still themselves. And it was no cameras rolling, and you can feel someone staring at you across the room. And so Sky's like a chill person as well, very like, you know, this is her shop we're in, like, so I'm speaking to some of the other castmates near like the reception area, and she's in the other end of the shop standing in the corner, and she's just looking at me like that.
Okay.
And she goes, I like you. So after she said she liked me, right, she goes, I'm getting weird vibes from other people in this room.
Right? Right?
So then after that, I'm like start dancing with one of my friends, Queen Lo, and so she walks up and she's like, this is your friend? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, this is your friend? Well, this is the only other person in the room that I'm like, it was like pretty much, it was a room full of a lot of, you know, weird girls just trying to get attention. She could feel the vibe from my friend and I that we were just like genuine girls there, you know, working, not trying to be thirsty. So it was, she was definitely a real one. So we got a chance to talk after that. I was like, thank you. She was like, what? I was like, for being real. And then she just gave me like the biggest bear hug. Yeah.
She's definitely a real one.
Yeah, so I definitely enjoyed working with her.
So, like, do you have, like, any mentors or anybody that you look up to that act or sing that you really like that motivates you to want to do this even more?
I look up to a lot of people in the industry, and being that I don't know a lot, like, I know a lot of famous people, but, you know, a personable level is more interesting to me, you know, so I watch a lot of their lifestyles and I'm inspired, but I mean, it only goes so deep when you don't actually, like, know or someone hasn't touched your life personally. So, like, one of my biggest mentors, like, my pastor, my mommy, Dr. Bridget Stibe, she is so real, you know, and she has a lot of fame and, you know, public, she's, you know, definitely a public figure, but definitely keeps me grounded and spiritually balanced. It's very few people in the industry that I latch onto, I experienced a lot of bad business, in the last few years. So it's like I've been very protective. I've been in that place where I'm very unapologetic. I'm in charge, and I don't have a big brother right now, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
When it comes to that, but what keeps me stable right now is my family, my mother, my makeup artist, and my hairstylist. They pretty much are like my glam squad. They come with me, Monique and Erica, the Glam Fairy and Sugar Honey Iced Tea, and they are supportive when I'm actually on set, you know what I'm saying, and being there for me, and when I'm not, it's just like my family, my best friend, Princess.
That's what I see Princess all the time.
Yeah, it's just Danny and P, we like 2 peas in a pod,
like
me,
that.
P, and God, you know what I'm saying?
So aside from the acting and the music, tell me about this foundation that you have.
Okay, so I started Laroach Outreach Modeling Center. Pretty much because honestly, especially when I'm in the South, when I'm like in the mall, like Shreveport, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, like I have a lot of young girls that like will come up to me and they're like, I follow you and I want to be like you, and all my little cousins and little sisters, like they email me and they see me on TV and they're like, I want to be like you, but I'm humbled by the fact that they want to be like me, but I want them to be the best them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I struggled with this for a while. I wanted to start an outreach or some type of foundation for like the last few years, but was telling myself the lie of like, I'm not where I'm at. I need to do some more movies before you do this, or get some more work under your belt. But I realized as long as my heart is there and I want to help these girls, and obviously, you can always inspire and help someone. So I just want everyone to get from my story. It's just like, don't think you don't have enough, or, what I'm saying? Like, a kind word, a hug is giving, you know what I mean? So I bite the bullet and get over lying to myself, telling myself I can't do something. So I started the Outreach Center in 2018. I'll be doing a lot more pushing it forward because I opened it all my paperwork, LLCC, stuff like that in 2017. But in the midst of that, I moved to Atlanta, working on a lot of other projects. So I didn't want to like spread it thin or put it on the back burner. So now everything's full force. I'm really excited about it. I'll share the logo with you. And,
it's a really nice logo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just to teach. It will span out to young women and men. I want to start with young women. Entrepreneurship, etiquette. Really, I want to show our youth how to think for themselves, how to think of other ways to make money. I do adore, jobs and unions and what they do for people, but you definitely have to have something outside of your 9-to-5, a hustle, a bustle, because nothing is promised. You have to have multiple streams of income.
Right.
So what's sad to say is African American, being from the African American community, I have also always noticed a lack of business and financial, like, I just feel like people are afraid to say it, but it's just like our culture hasn't been taught business and money and different things that other cultures have been naturally born into and grasped. We have always been taught to be the worker and to pay. Yeah. And now a lot of people are realizing, how important entrepreneurship is, how important it is to be self-sufficient outside of the corporation that you work for. People get laid off and then they realize, like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I'm saying?
What do I do now?
What do I do now? So it's also nice to always create that, that can catch you, a safety net. And a lot of time it's people's creative side. So it's good that, creatively I can do photo shoots and make money when I'm not acting. But I want to teach youth how to make money in different ways, and how not to just get sucked in. I just want to be famous, I always want to show them the power of $1 to put with the power of your knowledge, to put with that fame that you want, not just, I know people all over TV have no money, and I would like to help out in that area, you know what I'm saying, or these models that are just girls and getting naked everywhere, okay, cool, get naked. Right. Let me show you what the naked check is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want to create a business aspect that is real and known. I don't want to hide this roadmap to success that I have, because I know I'm not to my potential, but I am somewhere.
So that's a good thing about you. A lot of people get a little bit of success or a little bit of fame and act like they're just they can't be touched, like they're invincible.
No,
You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, when they get to that level, they never want to share how they did,
like,
not even a little bit.
How did you do that? I'm from the same place. Well,
Yeah.
I know that it takes a certain amount of focus and talent and dedication to do certain things.
Right.
So if you're that serious about it the way I am, here is the way I did it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because the thing is, you're not gonna make it the same way
yeah,
I made it or you made it.
Different things.
You know, you give people, you know, some keys and you know, and it's on them to work and get there to where they want to be, right?
So yeah, that's what I want to provide. And I don't want to just be that person to see things and be frustrated by them, because a lot of things going on in the industry right now, musically, modeling, in the African American community, they frustrate me. You know, why are my people doing this? Why is this going on? So instead of getting frustrated by what's going on, I'll create a foundation, a platform, an avenue, a place for these people to express themselves in different creative ways, so we can figure out what's going on and, you know, get in there, because this generation has to take care of us. You know?
Right.
So.
Right. You said frustration. Like, what frustrates you the most about the industry?
When I see people not getting paid, when I see people not pushing out quality work, when I see people working in avenues they don't have to necessarily, doing things that are not necessarily, you know, pushing their career forward. When I you know, it's just, you know, it's, and so in my community I see a lot of like flashiness going on. A lot of my, you know, friends and family spending their money on clothes and shoes rather than, you know, investing in a business, taking $10,000 and opening a Subway. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've helped street dudes understand the power of their money. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, cool, you have 100 racks in a house on Tennessee Street, but you don't want to flip it. Like, you don't want to go put it on paper. You don't want to go put it in a place where nobody can take it from you.
Right.
You know, but our youth doesn't know that. And then back to the flashiness, that does upset me. I wear a lot of flashy things, but
yeah, you're looking.
What I think people don't understand is I shop vintage.
Okay.
A lot of my furs are passed down. Like, this is a Fendi purse I have on. These are like 1985 DKNY boots. Like, I've shuffled through bins and bins of boots at the vintage shop for these for $15. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is my mom's passed down purse. This is my mom's scarf. Like, I love the Goodwill, I love the thrift stores, and I think it's so funny because I definitely push through Lenox and Saks, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not doing what you think I'm doing. Like, I'm I'm good.
You make it look good.
Yeah, like, so I was like, definitely, I think my mother always knew the type of girl I would be. Like, but when I was born, she bought me an entire Louis luggage set. Like, where was I going with that at birth? You know what I'm saying? But I still have it now, and I travel with it. And I just think it's funny because I laugh and I'm like, you know, I get on the airplane a lot of times and push past first class with all my Louis and furs.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like the people that I'm talking about. But at the other end, I'm not about to buy a first class ticket just so I can sit on the front of the plane when there's a ticket for $130 and I'm about to ride the same plane as you.
Right.
And get to the same place. Like, I understand if it's a further distance, you know, I get it. Like, but I'm really not as bougie and pricey as people think. I'm really.
I think that makes you more interesting.
Thank you.
You know, because if you were this bougie chick, I don't think it'd be the same vibe.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
so I give you something different. Yeah, and I came from the humblest of humble beginnings, so it's like, how could I not be that way?
Okay, so what would you tell the little girl under you that want to be the next Danielle Laroach? Like, what can they do, you know, in order to make these steps to be, you know, to have the same success as you?
I know it sounds like so cheesy, but you can't let anybody dim your light. It's so hard to make such a broad statement like that because it's like, it's so many factors that can dim your light, whether it's you know, an abusive boyfriend or, you know, bad relationships with friends or, you know, especially because if you're the young Danielle Laroach, you're coming from the hood. You're coming from an environment where there's a lot of knowledge, you know what I'm saying, but there's less financial power. So confidence is something you have to choose. It's something you have to own. You have to wear it like next to your heart because people are evil. Like, people are gonna tell you can't, like, literally the thing that people are gonna tell you can't do is probably your destiny, you know. So it's like the young Danielle Laroach, I love her so much, and I love every little girl that you know is every little girl to me is that girl, whether you're growing up with money or not, because wealth is loving yourself when your cup is full. And money helps people to love themselves, because you driving a nicer car may make you feel better about yourself. You know, putting your family into a home, being able to pay your mother's bills, that does help your confidence. That does.
Right.
But it's not what a lot of people are working with, you know. So I think when you're not bound by your environment, because I had family that, you know, one end of my family was telling me my parents didn't love me, and the other end was like there for me. So I had to choose, you know what I mean? Like I think I was supposed to grow up very bougie and rude and ungrateful, and that's not what happened. And I thank God, and I cherish being without. So the young Danielle Laroach, she's without a lot of things, and I think that she just has to know that that doesn't stop anything.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't stop nothing. Like nothing at all. Like it's a fire burning in me, and I know it's burning in so many other people. So it's like people are bound by things, you know. So when your car runs out of gas, can you walk to get there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you don't have lights, can you wash your clothes in the dark and drive and go iron them at a neighbor's next door and borrow money for gas just to get to the audition that might change your life, but can you get there, you know? So I think my whole life story is not being bound by these huge boulders that were set in front of me that kept telling me I couldn't do things, and I'm still facing them, and they do get bigger, but I get better. So it's definitely, you know, I'm no different than anybody else. It's been a lifetime of, you know, peaks and valleys for me, you know, and each one is just as glorious. You know, when you're at the top, get ready to be back at the bottom, and you're at the bottom, just keep learning how to get back at the top. So yeah, I hate when you ask me questions like that. Like, what would I tell her? You tell that little boy in 2nd grade not to play with you no more. I was that girl that definitely slapped kids. I definitely like pushed people around. I was always like a rebel. I've always been a leader though, and I've had to be aware of that. You know, so young Danielle, you're a leader, but you have to be aware. To be the people's champ, you got to be everything that people can, and people are strong. So you have to almost be inhuman and literally put your emotions to the side. So you got it cut out for you, young Danielle. Keep your legs closed, honey.
I think that's great advice. I think that's really good advice. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Likewise. It was just, you know, I don't think people understand what you and I share is a very, very real and natural, like, supportive love and energy for each other. And we've been living and working in the same city for some years, and you know, we've only met the last few years, but it has been constant love and support. And yeah, I just want you to know, when I do make it to that place that we're talking about, we still gonna be just like this.
Already.
Okay, all right.
I look forward to it.